there's going to eventually be an implosion or a big meltdown. There's going to be an implosion where 3 or 4 or maybe even a half a dozen of these mega budgeted movies are going to go crashing into the ground, and that's going to change the paradigm again.
And then what does the world look like after that?
Well, like 2008.
Hello everybody, this is Chuck from Theater and Stream, and this is a mini-sode. This week, I'm going to be getting into a bit of underexplored video content back from the yesteryear of 2013 from a panel conversation involving legendary filmmakers George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, where these two gentlemen fundamentally predicted with a great deal of accuracy, in my opinion, the current landscape of not only the film and television industries, but I guess just society on the whole, and how our relationship with the theatrical experience would be changed and, I guess, fundamentally corrupted by the accessibility of streaming on-demand services. This conversation, at the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts, the pair served as the Cassandras to the whole conversations, that sprouted up in recent months after the box office failures of movies like Furiosa. There was just a string of cinematic theatrical releases that really shat the bed in major ways, that put the industry on notice that audiences weren't just turning up for anything anymore. And what's interesting about that particular dynamic is that Spielberg himself essentially called it out as an inevitability. And this was right around the time that, Marvel had been purchased by Disney, and we had gotten the first run of the Disney era of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, culminating in, of course, with the release of the Avengers movie, the first one, and how much of a game changer that was.
What you're going to end up with is fewer theaters, bigger theaters, with a lot of nice things. Going to the movies, it's going to cost you $50, maybe $100, maybe $150.
Like Broadway costs today.
Yeah, it's like Broadway or going to a football game. It's going to be an expensive thing. The movies are going to be these big ticket items because people will still take their chances, and they will sit in the theaters for a year, just like a Broadway show does, and that's going to be what we call the movie business. But everything else is going to look more like cable television on TiVo, which is there's great programming, usually more interesting than what you're going to see in the movie theater. And you can get it whenever you want, and it's going to be niche marketed, which means, you can really take chances and do things if you can figure there's a small group of people that will kind of react to this. And then it's really a matter of marketing, which is the biggest issue, just to make sure that people know you're there. But otherwise, and of course with the internet, the way all the future of communications and everything is, there's a whole process for doing that now. So it's basically going to be what used to be the movie business, which I include as television and movies. It was the movie, but now it's going to be the television business, which actually has nothing to do with television anymore.
Content business.
It's not going to have cable or broadcast. It's going to be the internet television. Mm-hmm. And that's storytelling. There's no difference between movies and television. There's no difference at all. Except in a lot of cases, television is much better than movies.
What's interesting, though, to me, is that they couldn't even quite foresee how the atomization of the audience, into all these discrete niches on these discrete platforms, wouldn't be the great emancipating replacement to the theatrical experience that they thought it would be. Instead of tuning in for all these new, unique ideas that people were going to be getting, a chance to, produce on platforms like Netflix or Apple, what people are doing instead is just retreating to the things that they find familiar and they enjoy. what was the most streamed content, on the major platforms. It was people repeatedly just watching Friends and The Office and Seinfeld over and over and over again. It has been nice to be able to, rent video on demand for a movie that just got released in theaters elsewhere around the country but didn't make its way to my local AMC. It still is a sad thing because I very much would rather have been able to see, something like, Kinds of Kindness just as much as I would like to see Maxine or Deadpool and Wolverine.
The monetizing issue is still a big deal, and you have to be able to see where your market is. I mean, I already know I'm making it for a minuscule market, and that's why I'm doing it, is because I don't have to worry about if it's entertaining or if it's anything. And it's my choice. But at the same time, people are going to be able to have options.
Yeah,
and those movies are, unfortunately, the options for interesting movies are going to be on television, or as we know, or in the home. Let's not say television, say in the home. But I defy people who live in a hole or something. You can take some of the best cable shows, and you can take some of the best movies, and you can put them on the screen together, and nobody can tell the difference. Television competes with movies.
That's true.
1-to-1. There is no, because, but they're different. Actually, television is more adventurous. I mean, cable television is much more adventurous than movies.
Yep.
But more importantly, and I couldn't find this in the clip itself, that seems to be the sole clip that I've been able to harvest off the internet from this discussion. Lucas had this idea that, it might be great, to just put a hat on or plug into a digital world and create your own world. What's fundamental to all aspects of the entertainment industry, whether it be film, television, video games, novels, whatever it may be, and I guess into even some respects the realms of music, you still have to be able to tell stories, he said. Some people will want to be in a game. Some people will want to have a story told to them. Those are two different things, but the content always stays the same. The content hasn't changed in 10,000 years. And so that begs the question, what has changed then? Why isn't the magic formula working anymore? Why is our algorithmically determined entertainment seemingly failing in ways that the industry isn't expecting as they shovel hundreds of millions of dollars into projects that, in retrospect, were doomed to failure as soon as they set out on them? There's been a lot of discourse lately about, the idea that it is simply the ideology being imbued into content that is turning audiences off and pushing people away. But it may rather be that entertainment is just too hard to get, even if it is in your own home. The cost of having the full library of streaming platforms at your fingertips costs just about as much, if not more than, an old school cable subscription. And while you probably get more ready access to things, more and more people are just unplugging from even those and turning instead to free alternatives like Pluto or Tubi or, Freevee, any one of them that they may be. And they're just watching ads the old school way, returning to a linear, form of the experience where they don't have complete control over how it's delivered to them. If Spielberg and Lucas were afraid of the theatrical experience dying, in some respects, even the atomized streaming version of it is also kind of doomed. Because it's not just what's in your town. It's not just what can be beamed down to you. There are certain things that you just can't get access to unless you own a physical copy of it. And being able to own a physical copy of anything is becoming an ever more expensive, tenuous thing. There's rumors that Sony might be killing Blu-ray, which are probably, totally unfounded, and hyperbolic. But at the rate that we are going, everything is digital. Everything is in a cloud. Nothing is in the same room as you anymore. The movies you see in theaters are delivered, from a server in Hollywood to a hard drive plugged into a projector. And we might as well just be watching our movies at home. But why should we even bother doing that? Because after all, Peacock will always have those reruns of The Office just waiting for us.